Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's my favorite show of the year. We've got my good friend Chris Bitters in the house, who's getting ready to open this season of the Delmarva Shorebirds. Welcome, Chris.
Greg, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to come in early in the year and chat Shorebirds baseball with you. So I appreciate you having me.
So last year at this time when you were here, you were trying to figure out how to tape off the seats so that everyone could sit 6 feet apart, and it was just this whole different world. What's it like out at Purdue Stadium this year?
Yeah, so we really look at things from a protocol standpoint, a fan attendance standpoint, and then a player standpoint and staff standpoint. So the fan attendance protocols, there's really none. No masks, no social distance. I mean, we're pretty well back to normal, I would call it there. Some of the things that we did during COVID that the industry was already going to is we'll continue focusing on digital ticketing, digital parking, and cashless ballpark operations. Those things will continue, and the industry was already going there pre-COVID, but COVID just sped all that up immensely. So there's some still things we got to do precautionary for the players to try to keep them safe and keep them on the field, because you get a bout of COVID through the locker room and you can lose some games, which we don't want to do. But for the fans, come on out. Things are pretty well normal and enjoy a ball game.
Now, your title is general manager, but I think people don't really understand what that means. They think that you run the team, but you don't really run the baseball operation. You run the stadium and all the entertainment aspects of it.
That is correct. The players on the field are all controlled by the Baltimore Orioles, and they make the decisions on who plays, who moves up, who gets released, and any limits on pitchers or whatever else it may be. It's all the Orioles dictated through our local manager and coaching staff that are Oriole employees as well. So that's all handled by them. My job is, the field, the building, the transportation for the players, some of those logistics, but pretty much focused on, hot dogs, cold beer, and good fun times and great fireworks shows when you're at the ballpark.
Yeah, and and you've got so many great promotional events this year. I was looking at the calendar for the promotions, and as always, there's a reason, like an extra reason, to go to the ballpark almost every night.
Yeah, no, we really tried this year, obviously, with 2020 what it was, 2021 being kind of still a goofy year for everybody, and we really tried this year to try to heavy up on the promotions to try to get those folks that may have not been to the ballpark in a couple of years, give everybody a reason to come out, whether you're a senior in our Silver Slugger program or our kids in our new kids club we just launched. There's a number of programs and then promotional giveaways, whether you're a Spider-Man fan and a Marvel comic fan, we've got that night. We've got Star Wars night, 15 fireworks shows. So really, as you noted, throughout the year, and if you're a diehard baseball fan, we've got the bobblehead giveaways and things of that nature that every night there's something going on. We've jammed it up pretty good with promotions, so we're pumped.
Yeah, there's a great reason to go out every night, even if baseball is enough for me, but if you've got kids and stuff, yep, there's just so much going on.
Yeah, and that's our goal. Obviously, it's easy if you had 5,000 pure baseball fans every night that just wanted to watch baseball, but that's not the reality of life. So, we obviously use those promotions, whether it's our beer promotions on Thursdays and Fridays or our Tuesday promotions with discount tickets on those days and discount food. And then our giveaways and fireworks, is find a reason why people can come out. And hopefully, if they're not the biggest baseball fan in the world, they come out to a few games and they turn into one.
It's funny, that beer promotion on Friday night especially, when I'm driving home and I have to go by the stadium, it's like a magnet because I know it's beer night.
Yep.
And I just want to pull in there.
Yep. Come on in, have one, enjoy it, and enjoy a few innings of baseball. But those promotions still exist and we're ready to roll.
So you're just back from Florida. You got your eyes on the team a little bit to see who's going to be in your house this summer. What did you see?
Yeah, I think overall, what we'll see when the team breaks. Obviously, there's no official list yet, but when the team breaks, we'll see some of those guys that came up late in the season. There was a point in August when we had an entirely new starting lineup. I think we'll see a few of those guys return. And also, I think with what they've made progress in the international market over the last couple of years, I think we'll see a heavy international flavor on our team this year as well, and seeing some of those young men that have been in the Dominican Republic or the Academy or the Gulf Coast League, or I think it's called Florida Coast League now or whatever it is. They'll be making their way to Salisbury, because it takes a little bit of time to make that transition. But yeah, so I think we'll see international players as well as a lot of people from the prior year draft that either were here or didn't make it to Delmarva at the end of the year.
I don't consider myself a fair weather fan, but I do notice that when the Shorebirds are doing well, I want to go more. I think that's kind of human nature. But explain how the two seasons work within the one season, the first half and the second half, and that's how you get to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that is back. Last year that didn't happen
Right.
due to the weirdness of 2021, but we do have kind of a first half and second half now, and that'll determine who makes the playoffs in the North and then the South. Even though we have 3 divisions within our league, for playoff purposes, it's kind of easier just to chop us in 2 and make it a North and South scenario. But yeah, so basically the first half winner will make the playoffs, and the second half winner will make the playoffs from each North and South division. And they do that because your team is always in transition. You start the year with a certain amount of guys. After a month or 2 months, you're going to start seeing guys get promoted, and then the draft will come. And then usually, some point now, with us being the first stop with no short season ball anymore, you'll see the whole new kind of crop of guys early mid-August come to Delmarva, which we saw last year, and that probably likely will continue in the future as well. So it's really just to keep it competitive, and have people something to root for with making the playoffs. So
We've had some great stars come through in recent years. Any idea if any of them are going to be back?
No clue for this year's roster exactly. I mean, obviously that's usually something we don't get until right before opening day. But I could see us seeing a kid like Kobe Mayo, who played third base for us last year, a high school drafted kid that's really, really impressive person. I mean, if you told me he was a tight end for a big D1 football team, I'm like, yeah, makes sense. And if you told me he was played hoops for somebody like that as well, big D1 school, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. I mean, he's just he's a pure athlete. And he looks really good out there and had a good season for us, and came up late in the year. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few of those guys. I think some of the older college guys that were drafted, they'll probably move on and move up. But and then again, a lot of international. And I'm not real familiar with those guys. Haven't followed it closely, but I'll obviously be seeing it a lot more now.
How do the international guys do when they come into Salisbury? Sometimes they live in people's homes. It's a big adjustment for them.
It is a big adjustment. There was actually a new rule put in by Major League Baseball just for this year, starting this year and moving forward, that the Major League organization actually is providing housing for all players.
Okay, good.
So I think we have 43 beds here in town that we're renting, some on short-term rental, 6 months, some on an annual basis, depending upon what we're able to pull off. But we have a variety of living arrangements for the players. So host families are still an option, which you're indicating. So if a player wants to live with a host family, they can do so if they choose. But basically, when a player arrives now to Salisbury, they'll have a furnished apartment ready to go for them, and that'll happen throughout the system. So if they move up to Aberdeen or Bowie, as players leaving those spots, there'll be an open bed, in one of the apartments or townhouses that they have in those markets as well. So it's a little, that's really been the big focus over the last 2 years with our working relationship with Major League Baseball, is how to improve the minor league player experience, not only on player play, player health and wellness, and then player housing. We've always in Salisbury had tremendous support from the community. A lot of host families would open their doors and we could pretty much host every player with the host family. It's not like that in 120 other markets,
right.
So this new system through Major League Baseball with providing the housing for players will make it a lot easier for, especially international guys that are coming here, may not speak the language well or in transition learning the language, as well as just, first time maybe even in the United States for a prolonged period of time if they're coming from the academy or whatever. So it should be a much better experience for the players.
Just the idea that your first experience with America is Salisbury.
Yeah. Yeah, no, guys usually love it here. We have found, obviously, we have found that the players really seem to enjoy Salisbury. They don't have a lot of off time, but when they do, obviously we have the beach. We have a lot of, it seems like we have a lot of guys like to hunt or fish in particular, so they can get out and fish at a local pond or whatever it may be. So guys really seem to like Salisbury, and the community supports them, and so they really seem to have a good spot to land for their first job.
Well, you think of them as like star athletes, but it's a grind that some of those bus trips are long.
Yeah, and the new system has improved as well. That's been a big focus. There's 2 parts to it, I guess, with the new system that we're working under with Major League Baseball. Is travel's reduced. Our travel's about half of what it used to be in the old South Atlantic League, while we now play every team in our league. This year, where we didn't last year, travel is significantly reduced. Rather than going to Augusta, Georgia, I think one of our furthest trips might be Myrtle Beach. But other than that, it's a lot better travel. And then also, even without COVID, we're traveling on 2 buses now. So for 40, 50 guys, we have 2 buses, so it's a lot more comfortable. Everybody can have their own rows and seats and all that. So it's, again, the health and wellness side that we've been working with Major League Baseball on to significantly improve over the last 24 months while managing COVID protocols and everything else that we've dealt with. So
you guys have made so many great improvements to the stadium, and then COVID hit, so I don't know that people were really able to get out there and see the improvements. So talk about some of the new things that have come to the stadium, if I haven't been there in 2 years.
Yeah, if you haven't been to the stadium for a few years, some things you'll notice is all of our seats are reserved seats, so no more metal bleachers. Everybody has, when you buy a ticket, you have an actual ticket and a seat so you can sit down. Also, we've replaced the video board a handful of years ago. There's a 360 wraparound deck, so now you can take a stroll all around the outfield wall, and that's been a huge hit for fans.
Yeah, you can, go out there and watch the game from the outfield. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome, and people love it. I mean, whether it's just to go out and stretch your legs and walk it out a little bit for a couple innings, or the kids can go, if parents are there and their kids want to, are restless, they can go walk a lap and go hang out there. And there's a drink rail that pretty much goes from left field foul pole to right field foul pole, and you can post up there for a few innings or just do a lap. And so we have a variety of people why they like it. Again, I remember Gary Mackes came back for a visit, and he was part of the discussions when we were talking about stadium improvements before he retired. And he came back and he's like, "This is pretty cool. He goes, you guys were right. This is pretty cool." And so that was good to see, because he didn't know what we were talking about. He didn't know the idea of what we're thinking through, and to see it in reality, he goes, "Yep, this is pretty cool." So,
and he's tough to impress.
Yeah, he was impressed, and he was pumped about it. So so I mean, there's been a lot of improvements. There'll be some more improvements coming down the pike as we again continue to focus on the relationship with Major League Baseball and the Orioles with. Again, the player health and wellness, facilities from player side were built 30-odd years ago now, and the world's changed, the number of players on rosters, things of that nature. So there'll be some more improvements coming down the pike as well, more behind the scenes, but the fans will notice some way, shape, or form.
And there's been some safety improvements.
Yes, the netting was extended. I forgot about that. So the netting was extended to the far end of each dugout. So there's a couple sections on the end that don't have netting in front of it, but there's obviously been a big push throughout all of baseball to extend netting. Some teams have gone all the way down to foul poles, things of that nature. While we don't have seats out there like you would at, say, Camden Yards, we're behind, everything behind the dugouts and inward is protected by netting. And quite honestly, it's been great. I mean, there was some grumbling early on, but I think most everybody's over it. And
you can see fine. I thought the same thing. I was like, this is not. There's no vision problems at all.
Yeah, the netting we bought's Dyneema material, which is very thin netting material. It's the thinnest you can buy. It's what the big leagues have. It's what everybody has, and it's virtually see-through. And it's a lot of relief for me. I usually stand behind home plate, and when a foul ball is screaming down the left or right field line near the dugouts, usually my heart stops a second, I'm heading that way. Now, 99% of the time, I would say that, depending upon as long as it's not a pop-up, if it's a line drive type ball, I really, the net's there, okay, good, we're fine.
Well, the maniacal part of me enjoyed that, watching people get hit who weren't paying attention.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate part, is that people aren't paying attention. And again, with some of those balls, the reality is they're coming at you pretty quick. And if you're not locked and loaded, even professional ball players would have a tough time fielding those.
Tell me about the cashless system. It seems like it's not that important, but I did one of those things like I always do. Went to a football game this winter, took a load of cash, got there, couldn't buy anything because everything was on the card. Yep. How's that transition going to go?
The transition, we did it last year. It went great. Fans were very receptive to it, and it really helped two things. Obviously last year, COVID was a big part of it, where we can do less touching. Also what people have to realize too is there's still a staffing shortage out there. We have a great part-time staff that work for us, but generally last year, we were begging for people to work. The whole market was, obviously. So cashless helps improve efficiency and speed of lines. So really, you could pay with a debit card, credit card. At concessions, you could pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, all those pays. And if you only have cash, we do have a gift card system. And a lot of our regulars took advantage of that because they didn't want to swipe their card every night for a hot dog or a beer or whatever it may have been. And we have a Shorebirds gift card where you can go to the gift shop, give them your cash, they'll give you a gift card, and it never expires. You can use it for food, tickets, merchandise, whatever you want in the ballpark. Keep the card just like a Target gift card. And then what our regulars started doing is reloading it. So they put some money on to start the year, and as they wind it down, and you get your balance every time you swipe it from the concessions on your receipt, you'll see your balance, and you can just load it up or check the balance on our website just like you might on a Target gift card. So
that's really cool. Food out there is really good too. How do you guys keep the food so good?
Yeah, really, last year we had some specialty stands we didn't even really get to open, to be honest, because we were so short-staffed, particularly on the food and beverage side of things. We're hoping to have those fully open this year, but really just try to keep up with the trends in the market, try to create things and see how they go. And we got some staples that are very popular that aren't going away ever, whether it be like the crab berry pretzel is very popular, Sherman gelati is a very popular ice cream. But we have a whole Chesapeake stand now. They can get a crab cake or a crab top hot dog and crab top chicken sandwich. And then we have one stand that we never actually got to open last year called Burgertopia, which is kind of a higher end specialty burger stand, but it'll give you a nice half-pound burger with some different kind of toppings. I think we even have.
I'm salivating.
Yeah, it's a cool stand. Again, it's a small stand, but it's a specialty one, and we got some cool toppings for some burgers. I think one of them's even going to have a scrapple topping on it. So there's a lot of great product that we're trying to serve, and again, challenge we're still running into, like a lot of places, supply chain issues and working through some of those things that we're now finding from vendors that we've planned the year, and the vendors are going, hey, we can't get you this kind of nacho tray or whatever it is. And we're like, okay, well, what do we do now? So we'll work through those kinks now and hopefully opening day and go from there, but try to keep it fresh.
When my daughter was little, she used to ask me all the time, and I had no answer. What does Sherman do in the winter?
Sherman stays busy. Sherman's at lots of parades. We've been at low league opening days. Now that getting COVID, Sherman was virtually shut down,
right.
Which was unfortunate. But now that we're kind of beyond that, I think Sherman last month did 25 school appearances. We're gearing up for Little League opening days next month. We try to hit all the parades, whether it's been canceled, but like St. Patty's Day parade down in Ocean City or Christmas parades. We try to hit as many of those as possible throughout the winter time, and we try to keep that the face of the organization and try to keep them active, whether it be parades or community events, and keep them going year round, really.
One of my favorite mascots of all time. There's just something so appealing about Sherman the Shorebird.
Yeah, a big orange bird. What's not to like about him? But we try to keep Sherman busy. So it was really disappointing during 2020 and kind of the start of 2021 that we were really handcuffed because, again, schools were remote and you couldn't go to the hospitals or nursing homes or somewhere like that. So we're pumped that we're back to normal kind of with Sherman.
One of the things you get great accolades for is you guys are so involved in the community. You really get out there, promote the team, but you're involved in all these nonprofits and these activities. Is that a corporate decision that you made, or is it a reflection on the community? Why are you guys so involved like you are?
Yeah, I think really, it's top down. Our ownership, president, myself, we all believe that we have to be engaged in the community. We hire a community relations manager. That's Sam, our young lady that does that. That's her title. And her whole job is just to figure out how to be involved in the community, whether that be our school reading programs with Hit the Books, which we've been doing for years, or whether it's mascot appearances, supporting organizations like the United Way, or cancer charities with our corporate partners. It's really just how to be involved in the community, because at the end of the day, we believe that we have to be involved in the community. This community is what makes us tick. They're the ones that come into the games. They're the ones that are paying money for tickets and food and merchandise to make us operate. So we have to do our part in being active and giving back as best we can. When I got here, a couple of years after I got here, I created a fund with the Community Foundation. So now we have, we're ready to do fundraisers or different events or jersey auctions that we can then put money into that fund, and then we're able to donate that back out to different groups in the community, be it a request or through events or functions like our hot stove banquet. So.
Also, I'm really impressed by that campaign that you're affiliated with, the Purdue Strikes Out Hunger. That thing really seems to work.
Yeah, it's been a great campaign. Again, a little bit jogged last year because of COVID and getting touching and all that kind of good stuff, but it's back in full this year. We started that as part of the All-Star Game back in 2011. We hosted the South Atlantic League All-Star Game, and we did it as a big focal point of the All-Star Game, and then after the game, we said, all right, what can we do? We kept it going on Sundays, so basically this year, we're doing it if you bring 4 canned food items on Sunday, you can get a free Sunday ticket to a future Sunday game to come on back on us. So, and we were able to raise a lot of food donations here locally, plus the food banks in Purdue do a great job with that program. In addition to our players having an incentive to strike out batters to help fund the food banks as well. So it's a great program.
I love when you guys do the different jersey things where they wear the jerseys. What kind of plans do you have for that this year?
You're going to test me on my memory right now. No, we have a ton of them. So Thursdays we wear Maryland Pride jerseys, where we have kind of a Maryland flag design.
It's a beautiful jersey.
So we try to rotate that every year in different ways of doing that. Fridays we do what we call Orange Fridays, so encourage the fans to wear orange and our players wear a different orange jersey. Scrapple will be back as we play as the Delmarva Scrapple. We're doing a partnership with Major League Baseball and Marvel this year, where We'll have a Marvel Defenders of the Diamonds night where our players will actually wear an Iron Man. They call it a skin. It's
cool.
So it doesn't have Iron Man's face on it, but it looks like his body skin, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
We'll be doing with Preston Automotive Group, we'll be doing the Flock for a Cure cancer jersey again that we did last year, wildly successful. I think we raised like $9,000 for local cancer charities off of that one. So there's got to be more. Star Wars jerseys are back that we kind of were on hiatus for a couple years. So there's a number of them we're doing that's grown in popularity, and it's also a tandem way to raise money for charitable groups as well through the jersey auctions.
And I'll be out and I'll see people wearing them, and I'm like, oh, I missed that one. I didn't know that was going to be at the stadium. I wish I had seen players have it on. But you'll see people in the public who have bought them, and it's just terrific.
Yeah, no, they're great. I think we're doing one in August also for Go Purple for the campaign for Wycomico Goes Purple, or not even just Wycomico, but our Worcester County, Somerset County, all of our counties going purple, and that awareness campaign. So we'll be doing jerseys that night. So yeah, there's a number of them, probably about a dozen specialty jerseys this year that we'll be doing.
Now, in recent years, baseball in the minor league level went through a tremendous transition in which a bunch of teams were scrapped. There was a lot of consolidations. When the news first came, I was like, oh gosh, I hope our Shorebirds survived. But they did. They've thrived. They were held aloft as an example of a successful operation. So what has that done to minor league baseball?
I mean, on a day-to-day fan basis, if you're just a casual fan coming to the game, you probably don't notice anything different. We got 9 guys on the field, the other team has 9, and we play each other.
Yeah.
From a global minor league landscape, there was a restructuring. What was the short season level, which started usually late May, I guess it is, early June, that level was eliminated, which, you have 30 major league teams, so right off the bat, 30 teams are eliminated. And then the Appalachian League and another league that made up the other 12 of the 42 that were eliminated from an affiliation standpoint, those went away. The markets didn't go away per se. So in our world locally here, people might know that Aberdeen used to be the short season affiliate, and now they're the high A affiliate. So they're actually, from an affiliate standpoint, above us now. Frederick became what's called a prospect league team. So basically, it's kind of like a summer wooden bat league type scenario. So baseball's still being played in Frederick, just they're not directly affiliated with the Orioles players, things of that nature. They're more college players that are looking to eventually get drafted and play in Delmarva or Aberdeen type stuff. So, I think the majority of markets, maybe 1 or 2, still were able to keep some level of baseball, whether that was the markets that were eliminated from the affiliate process. Kept some level of baseball, whether it was Atlantic League or Prospect League baseball. And so most of the markets were able to keep baseball throughout, whether it be Lexington or West Virginia Power, who are in the old South Atlantic League. They're both now independent Atlantic League teams. So really, again, the goal was to player development's changed. There's some belief that you don't maybe need as many players as you used to figure out which ones are the best. Also, some of it's facility driven. They really have a impetus on putting new health and wellness and player amenity things that just, again, have changed. Majority of minor league ballparks were built in the early 90s. The reality is they're all 25 to 30 years old now. So the world of sports in general has changed in those 30 years as it relates to the player side. So moving forward, that's the goal, is to make it a better player experience.
Is it wrong for me to, think that perhaps if you hadn't created the environment that you have with the stadium improvements and where we are with everything with our fan base, that if someone had to pick between us and Frederick and we were a little bit down, that Frederick might have gotten it and not us?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that probably went into the decision-making process. We have a tremendous relationship with the Orioles, and not that Frederick didn't. We have a great facility. We in the county and the state obviously all put money into the facility, both on the player amenity side as well as on the fan experience side. So I think there's a lot of reasons why I went into that. Again, we weren't privy to the internal discussions on who stayed and who went, but as you know, Hagerstown, they lost their affiliation with the Nationals. Again, it's like I said, the writing was on the wall, but older ballpark, a lot of challenges physically for the facility. So them getting up to the new requirements would be significantly more difficult than, say, a team like Delmarva. So.
You got an open house coming up.
Yeah, so we just, again, some fans haven't been to the ballpark for a while. With digital ticketing, digital parking, all of our season ticket holders receive most of their stuff just voila at their home. So we used to always have some sort of preseason pick up your ticket party. Well, we don't print tickets anymore. So, and obviously we have a new manager, new coaches, and a lot of new faces. So really what's wanted, they're going to work out that night. The team will have a workout, typical batting practice, pitchers throwing bullpens or whatever it may be. And we're just going to open the doors to the fans, come on out. And then what we decided was, hey, let's continue the charitable angle. And if fans bring 4 canned food items, we'll give them a free hot dog and soda. So
That's really cool.
yeah, so come on out. We'll have the amusements open, and again, try to, as best we can. The players only have been in town for a day, so introduce guys or whatever we can do to kind of introduce the community or our fans to the team.
I'm going to do that. That's going to be fun.
Love to have you.
And then the first game is
April 8th. Friday,
April 8th.
April 8th. Yep, we're giving away orange T-shirts to the first 1,000 fan opening day T-shirts, and we're ready to get the ball season started. So just look for good weather.
Now, you had the hot stove banquet this year, which is one of the great things in the middle of the winter. It's always like on the coldest day of the year that was when the hot stove happens. But the new manager was there. Who was the new manager?
So our new manager is Felipe Rojas.
Right.
Excuse me. So his brother is Luis Rojas, who was recently the manager for the Mets up until this past year. And his father obviously has a huge Felipe Alou, and then his other brother played for the Orioles. So Felipe Rojas, he's a great dude. He's been overseeing the Dominican operation down there for a lot of years, and so this will be his first experience actually in affiliated baseball with the Orioles in the States. And then but he's a wonderful man. Met him last week in person. I've talked to him a couple times through Zoom, but we're excited to have him, and I think it'll be a great fit for the club this year.
My all-time favorite Joe Garagiola joke was that Boog Powell was actually one of the third Alou brother. Boog Alou.
Boogaloo. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously Felipe's family has a huge history of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously from his dad to his brothers and family playing and coaching, and obviously they're deep in the baseball world, and I think he'd be a great fit for our players, and then obviously, we have, like I said, have a lot of international players as well. So.
Yeah. You want to win. That's really the goal, is the fans are there, they want to win, but there's a lot more going on with this. This is a developmental league.
Yeah, I mean, we all want to win. The players want to win too, even as they develop. As a person, you want to win. But yeah, I mean, not all decisions are always made based on the game outcome.
Right.
Whether it's a pitch limit for a pitcher, a guy may be throwing 3 innings or maybe has a 40-pitch pitch limit. Well, he could be doing great, but if his limit is doing that, it'd be kind of like me and you. If we wanted to go run right now, if we want to run 10 miles, but we've never ran 10 miles, it'd be pretty difficult. Yeah. So we might go out and jog a half a mile today, and then next day jog a half mile, and you build up to maybe getting to 10 miles.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's going on out there, basically, is that pitchers maybe have 40 pitches to start, they'll extend to 50, 60, and you usually have a program throughout the entire year where in a perfect scenario, you want them to finish.
Yeah, you'll see that all the time. You'll be in the stands. Pitcher will come out great. They take him out. The next guy gets shelled, and the fans are like, "Why did you take that guy out? He was doing great." Like the manager doesn't know. Well, no, there's a plan. He's only gonna throw 60 pitches.
Yeah. No, I always try to use the running analogy because you can't run 5 miles until you can run a mile.
I have to embarrass Chris because just a couple years ago, year before last, he was named General Manager of the Year for the minor league baseball that you're in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were recognized because we're so lucky, whether we know it or not, that fan experience that you give us at the Shorebirds Stadium, it's just amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, it was a great honor that my fellow colleagues in the league thought well enough of me to give me that award. And when they changed our name to Low A East, I thought I might have been the ever last South Atlantic League, but league names are back as of this year with the transition that did. So we're technically part of the Carolina League now. Okay. But South Atlantic League does exist, so I won't be the reigning South Atlantic League GM for Infinity. So
open house is
April 6th.
Okay.
Come on out, 6 to 8, free admission. You don't need to do anything, no tickets, no nothing. Just come on out, park, and walk up to the gates. We'll let you in and bring 4 canned food items so that we can get you a free hot dog and soda and test out our concession staff, make sure they're ready to go for April 8th as well. So
and opening night is?
April 8th, 7:05 game, 6 o'clock gates. Yeah, I love to open at home, and it's a 3-game set for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a great 3-game set, and it obviously gives us also a chance. We always have some kinks. There's going to be kinks in the operation, so team hits the road for a week, and we can work out those before we get back. So.
He's Chris Bitters. He's the man of the hour, getting ready to start a baseball season at Arthur W. Purdue Stadium. We're thrilled he had time to be with us here today. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of One-on-One right here on Pac 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.